Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back to another LinkedIn Live. We are really just ripping and raring and closing out 2025. So I'm excited to be here with you all today. Welcome to everybody who is joining us for the first time, and welcome to our OGs who have been riding with us for a while. OGs is original gems. Y'all like how I did that? We're just having a good time over here. So our OGs who've been with us for a while will also know that we love it when you drop your city in the chat. We really appreciate knowing who is with us, who is enjoying this experience live. If you are watching on the replay or you are watching on YouTube, we love that for you also. We also love it for us. So you can still share this episode, share this live, because there has been some real gems that we've been able to talk about over the course of all of 2025. But I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a while because it's something that's close to my heart. But I wanted to make sure that I was sensitive and not tone deaf to the moment that we are operating in. So, because that is important to me, because I care about each and every one of you who take the time to join us and are members of our community, I wanted to make sure that we covered this topic in a thoughtful way, because oftentimes we're navigating deep feelings about our career, and there are factors that are just out of our control. And then there's a lot of factors that are in our control. So I want us to go through and have a good conversation today. So go ahead and drop your city in the chat. And I'm looking here at the side screen just to make sure that we have all our audio and video exactly the way we want it. And it looks like we are all good. So welcome back, as I mentioned, for those who are coming back, and welcome for our first timers. So we're going to talk about a topic that has been quietly one of the biggest kind of career challenges over the last few years, and I would argue forever. So I have wanted to get deeper into this for a while, but we're living in some wild times, honestly, as it relates to career, as it relates to the United States of America, as it relates to the rights of people who look like me. And I want to make sure that I am thoughtful and not tone deaf when I bring things to you. So that's why I wanted to get into this discussion in a way that felt like it answered a lot of questions that folks have submitted to me in the past. And I was inspired by a podcast that I was listening to recently that really allows listeners to write in to the podcast, and then their letters get read, or they get the actual feedback directly from what listeners share. So I wanted to make sure that I heard not only from our listeners who DM us all the time or send us emails, but that we really got a chance to go deep into the topic for a bit. So if you're with us, hit subscribe and drop your city in the chat. And I want to know, what do you do when your growth feels stalled inside of an organization and you're kind of thinking, maybe I should move on, right? Getting that urge to quit. So we had somebody write into us about this topic and what they're trying to navigate. And I think that it feels like something that lots of people are interested in or struggling with. So we're always here to be able to bring value to the time that you spend with us. So we're going to cover it. This is happening across industries. Talented professionals are really hitting a wall and wondering, is it me or is it the environment? Is it me that's the limiting factor in my career growth, or are there things happening in the ethos that are just bigger than me, out of my control? And what do I need to do about it? So let's unpack that with some clarity. So oftentimes, I wanted to make sure we think about insights and the total market in terms of what folks may be experiencing and what they're navigating. So you're not imagining it. You are not kind of in your own head believing that things are slowing down, or is it me? I'm here to let you know that there are a lot of external factors, and we've talked about them a lot on the podcast, on the Career Gems for the Journey podcast. Is also, we've talked about it on the live here. But according to recent reporting in the Wall Street Journal, workers are experiencing something brand new, and this idea of job hugging, right? So we talked about job hugging before, but staying in roles longer because they are feeling that there's not a lot of certainty, and they want to make sure that they're thoughtful about the labor market, and that it knowing, right, there's evidence that tells us the labor market has tightened. So with fewer people able to leave and make transitions inside of their companies, in current roles, or to leave companies, we have fewer positions that are open for advancement. So those opportunities begin to slow down. And that's inside of your organization and outside of your organization. Movement is just slower. And we can talk about kind of the why movement is slower. And I think we've covered that before in detail. But today I want to talk about the individual and what you may be navigating as you're noticing that things are slowing down. That might be that fewer stretch roles are becoming available. There's less opportunity for those cross functional assignments that help you to get breadth as you may have a deep depth in your subject matter. So when that happens, this means many people are feeling stuck because they lack the ability that we may have had 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years ago to meet their developmental needs on their own. So they had this, really great ambitious plan, many of us, as we were navigating our career and as we're thinking about what's next. But now you're realizing that there are not as many opportunities for you to execute the plan in the way that you may already have decided, or maybe you need to rethink the plan altogether. So the market itself has slowed down significantly, and that means career mobility has to adjust. Your ability to navigate your career and what comes next has to adjust. Your stalled growth may be structural, it may have nothing to do with you. So now I want us to make sure we are accountable when we need to be accountable, but I also want to make sure that when there are external factors that are out of our control, we're aware of those and then we factor those new points of data into our future plan. So the urge to make a change, the urge to kind of meet your ambition again and reconnect with the work that you thought you would be doing or the way you thought your career would go, it's not actually anything wrong. This is not a negative for you to then figure out, okay, why am I so unhappy? Why am I frustrated? It's not a negative. It's just a new point of information. There's new data that you're experiencing in your day-to-day life. And that new data now has to be fed into the program. And we have to think about how the program needs to change. So that internal pressure to do something different, to leave where you are right now, isn't a weakness. It's just a signal. It's a signal that you're aware that new things are happening. You may feel the urge to make a significant change, and your role may not challenge you. You may not have the leadership support that you once had, or leadership may not be able to invest in your growth in the way that they would have in the past. Promotions could be frozen or unclear for how you may be able to get promoted, or you're working harder without the upward movement that typically goes along with the performance that you're bringing to the table. All of these are factors that kind of will stimulate us to say, okay, well, what's going on? The environment also has to recognize that you're a value in order for you to feel like it's a good environment for you to stay in. And you're bringing what you feel like is a high quality contribution to the organization, but you're still not getting that recognition, right? So this can feel really familiar to a lot of us where we're at this kind of impasse of, I'm not necessarily unhappy, but I'm not getting the movement that I thought I would be getting. And what is causing that? Is there something that I need to do, or is there something else that is at play? So the urge for you to make a change and say something is not right here may be bubbling up within you, and that is what our letter was really all about. So this, what I want to share with us is this is data, right? This is an insight that we are trying to figure out what to do with that information. And as we figure out what to do with that information, then we can be designed to take action. We can redesign our plan. So when we think of this slowdown or the stalling that's happening in organizations or in the job market, it's a really important time for us to take inventory. When I say take inventory, I mean before making any changes at all, right? So not to the point where we are stalled and we're in analysis paralysis, because that's its own problem, but take an inventory of the now so you can make sure you have clarity, to make sure that you understand and you're fully accountable for your contribution and you're giving your self acknowledgement for where you are, and then also enhancing your awareness for the market and the challenges that go along with the market that we're operating in today in 2025. So I want to encourage you to name the internal and external factors that may be contributing to your feeling stuck. So I'm going to start with the external factors because I believe it's valuable to really break it down. I'm going to simplify it and kind of group them into 4 key points. Now, we know that 4 key points cannot be comprehensive of all the reasons that you may be navigating, but I want to make sure we give ourselves a framework kind of generally to navigate what we may be seeing and what we may be experiencing. So these 4 points are generally where we see a good place to start when you're doing this inventory of your current feelings and thoughts about your role. The external factors look like there could be structural slowdowns, right? So we have already acknowledged that there are some structural slowdowns. So companies are moving slowly, promotions are fewer, and they may even be rare. Budgets are tight, and you can't outwork a system that is static, right? So we recognize that these are factors that are happening, that are market conditions that we have to be aware of. Number two, another condition that in this framework that I was really working through to answer this letter was there's a leadership ceiling. So potentially your manager may not have the bandwidth or the capacity or the desire to help you grow. That is what we call a leadership ceiling. And I'm here to tell you that that ceiling is real. Without the support of your manager or leadership within your organization, your ability to grow is very much stalled. Now, this is also an opportunity for you to assess, is there a way that you can rebuild the relationship, or that this relationship needs to be further developed between you and your manager? Or is it just time to move to another manager's team and make a change? Right? So when we think about the things that are factors in why systematic ways that you may be stalling and feeling like your growth isn't moving forward in the way that you want to, there could also be a misalignment. Your tasks may no longer match your competencies, your skills, your development. Maybe you've grown in a significant way and you're ready to stretch and you're ready to move closer to your long-term goals. And that happens. There are times where we just outgrow the role that we're currently in. Or there could be a value recognition gap. So you're delivering results, but you're not receiving the advancement or the visibility or the compensation that's aligned with that impact. And that could be because of all of the things that we mentioned earlier. So when we think about, okay, there's some structural things that are happening. Is it a structural slowdown? Is there a leadership ceiling? Is there some role misalignment? Or is there a value recognition gap? I like to put it in these 4 buckets because it helps us to name the internal feeling that we may be intuitively acknowledging that something is different or something is shifted, but we may not have the words to put names to it. And that is helpful in order to start to replan or start to strategize in a way that's going to look different from the way that you may have done it in the past. So when you understand the cause, you can then choose the right response, right? So for every cause and effect relationship, the effect is driven by what that cause is. So when we think about what you're going to do or what actions you're going to take, we want to make sure we're clear on the cause first, because making a significant change in your role, in your employment, in your relationships can absolutely be the right call. It can be time for a transformation, but we want to make sure that that's not driven by impulse. We want to make sure that we're taking a strategic approach while we have the opportunity to do that, especially in today's slower job market. We have to continue to make sure we're overlaying the reality of today's market. So I like to share this analogy with a lot of my clients. And I think about our careers as journeys, right? And because we are on a career journey, I like to then go even further with the analogy and go deeper into thinking about your career like air travel. So ride with me on this for a minute. I promise it'll all make sense. So when we think about our career as we do a comparison or an analogy to air travel, sometimes in your career, you are taking off. You're building momentum. You are learning. You are growing. You are adding to your skill set. You are having tons and tons of new opportunities that are driving velocity for your career. Or sometimes you're cruising at altitude. You're exerting less effort, you are maintaining, you are sustaining what you've already built in your career, and it is a time for you to cruise. Sometimes you are preparing to land. You are slowing down, you are allowing for one thing to end so that another thing can begin. And sometimes you are on the ground. You are in a layover, you are waiting for your next flight, waiting for your next opportunity, or you could be just stuck, feeling stuck at the airport. So let me not forget or leave out the potential that sometimes we are forced by forces that are outside of our control to stop. We get a flight cancellation, we get a job change, an acquisition, a layoff. Those things are things that are directly out of our control, but all of those things are part of career stages. And sometimes they are necessary for you to build a career that aligns to your values and to your needs. Every stage is a part of the cycle, whether you're in takeoff, whether you are cruising in altitude, whether you are landing the plane, whether you are in a layover and stuck in the airport, or whether forces out of your control have really compelled you and forced you into a situation. And sometimes job markets like the one we're in now will force us into a situation. And now we have to reevaluate our plans, reevaluate how we're going to be adaptable and adjust to make sure that we still get our needs met and that we still feel good about the career that we're building. So when it's time to make that change, I want you to go back to your own career ambition and think about this analysis that we were able to kind of work through today. Because I also want to add on that there are factors that are constantly you are building, you have control over, you have upskilling potential, you have relationships that you want to be able to enhance, or relationships that are going to be your next great opportunity. You have rooms that you are in and conversations that you are having now that may be your next great opportunity for years to come, or for your next role, for your next assignment, or you may be able to broker that opportunity for someone else. We're constantly bringing in new data into our career plan. So if you're feeling the need to make a change and you're feeling like this may be a time for you to change, that is normal. So you've had the conversations maybe inside of your organization about growth, and you're thinking, all right, those conversations aren't going the way that I want them to. Or culture or leadership is actively making some choices that you're just not aligned to. And you think now is the time for you to make the change. You feel undervalued and it feels chronic, right? And that's not aligning to you. Or you feel like you are actually doing a detriment to yourself by staying inside of an organization that no longer matches your values, or you no longer feel like you're in a role where you can grow and develop. It is important that you give yourself the ability to change your mind or to change course on your journey when things change. We don't want to, in any way, shape, or form, get you into a perception that once you set a plan, that it is locked and that the next things are the next things and they're always going to go that way. We understand that planning is necessary so that we can make progress, but we also understand that adaptability is a core competency as we mature. And there's no question that the world that we're living in now requires us to adapt and to adjust to maintain our core of our values, who we are, and our knowledge of self, our self-awareness, what we bring to the table. But it also requires us to have a level of an adaptability so that we can adjust to the moment and not do harm to ourselves by believing that there's only one way to get there. So take your time to decide what is best for you in this moment. There is no one size fit all answer to staying in the current role, staying at your current company, leaving your current role, leaving your current company. All of these factors are very unique and individualized to you and your journey. So I want you to take inventory now of the cost that would go along with your change, or take inventory before you even think about the change. Do I have the right financial resources in place to make a transition? And do I feel like I am managing my next move based on the external and internal data that I have been collecting over time? Or am I feeling this short term impulse? And once you've gotten a chance to take your inventory and you feel good about the answers, then I would encourage you to make a choice. Then I would encourage you to decide if now is the time to transition and to think about it as the time that we're in now may just be a layover. It may just be an inevitability that we are going to get to the other side, but it requires us to have staying power. It requires us to be patient, or it requires us to take a calculated risk and make a significant change. Either way, you have the ability to be able to change your mind and to use, I encourage you to actually use the data that the market and that the job market and that the environment is giving you now to inform your decision. And all in the meantime, while you're in the organization that you're in, or while you are where you are, take advantage of every benefit, every resource, everything that that organization is allowing you to have. Take every training, every certification, every benefit, every resource. And if you are knowing that the change is coming and that something is on the horizon for you, deep, deep investments in yourself and your self awareness, and making sure that you are plugged in to a community of people that are going to allow you to grow and also give you real feedback about how it is you're showing up in this market is going to be a game changer. That's the community that we're creating over here at Career Gems for the Journey. And I always want you to be testing the market quietly with your peers, with your community members, so that you know if the market is demanding your skills, if there is an opportunity for you to make a lateral move to another organization or to another department. Is the timing right? Or do you know that at the beginning of the calendar year, new things will shake out? So there's a better timing alignment that you can get there. These are the questions that I just want you to encourage you. I want to encourage you to ask yourself before you take any action, because there is absolutely something that is unique for your journey that's on the other side. And we want to make sure that you have the tools necessary to achieve your broader career goals. And sometimes that doesn't look the way we think it should on paper. Maybe you're landing the plane and you're letting one thing in so that another thing can begin. Maybe you're in a layover season where you're on the ground and you're not making the progress that you thought you were going to make in order to allow yourself to take off and get into the next phase of your journey. So I want you to make sure you have the information that you need so that you can get to a place where you can apply this data that you're getting from yourself in a real world application and feel good about the decisions that you're making. So if you are in a layover and you are in a transition, or you feel something landing, now is a great time at the end of the year to take that inventory and get your mindset in a place that will set you up for success as we navigate the future, because there are going to continue to be things and forces outside of our control that are going to compel us to be adaptable as we navigate career. And I want to do this with you. I want us to be able to do this together. So if this was helpful for you, you will love, 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 love what we have going on and what we have planned for the Career and Care Summit. We're going to go deeper into navigating careers in the environment that we're in at this very moment. And we are going to bring together some of the best minds, some of those coaches and colleagues that I've been able to work with to bring you just a curated, very thoughtful in-person experience about this at the summit. And we're going to get deep into career and care, all of the above. So grab your ticket right now at gemsforthejourney.org. Take full advantage of the opportunity. We still have tickets on sale. We appreciate you for riding with us today for this live, and we will see you the very next time. Until then, make your journey work for you.